Guys, I hope you're all well. This is a very short Facebook Live from me today. I promise you, I'm not going to take up too much of your time because what I'm going to talk about is habits. What are your worst habits? What is it that you're doing every day that you wish you could get rid of, that you wish that you didn't do because it's holding you back, because it's slowing you down, because it's affecting your health, because it's affecting your relationships? What is that one thing that you're doing right now, this moment in time in your life, that you wish that you could get rid of? I ask this question not just because I have an interest in habits, because of course, you know, I wrote the book Smash the Habit, and if you can see there, the light is very strong. And I'm not here to sell the book either, but I am here to talk about habits because I'm very passionate about habits. So guys, what is your worst habit? What is that number one thing that you're doing right now that's affecting your life in some way, shape or form, in a not very good way? It could be something that you're eating. It could be that you're addicted to sugar, or you're drinking too much, or you're smoking, or you're eating the wrong stuff, or you tend to get angry, or you tend to get this, or you tend to get that. We have a form of behavior that we adopt, and we adopt it so much and so often that it becomes so subconscious, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. And more often than not, it takes somebody else to point it out to us, and then we realize that we've got a habit. We've got a habit that we didn't even know about. I was talking about habits today. I did a 4-hour workshop on inner leadership mastery to a group of people who are parents of disabled children. It's a phenomenal 4 or 5 hours that I got to spend with them and learn their stories and learn where they came from. But every single one of these people were talking about these mind habits that they'd got into, these habits in their mind. The lighting is strong here today. The habits that they've got in their mind that were really holding them back from achieving their dreams, holding them back from being happy, holding them back from enjoying the quality of family life that they could have enjoyed, because they were so stuck in a rut in terms of a path of thinking. So that's really what habits are. Habits, we very often think about habits and automatically we jump to smoking, drinking, eating, and all these physical things that we do, when actually, yes, your body, when you take a substance away that you used to, your body will react, because your body in a chemical sense has got used to having that substance. So you will always have that detoxification period that you have to go through, where you go through cold turkey. I remember when I gave up smoking 14 years ago, and I gave up drinking the same night, and I gave up meat the same night. Of course, for a period in time, I went through a stage of detoxing, a cold turkey. You know, I had the headaches, I had the shivers, I had all of this kind of stuff. And people who break away from drugs also suffer from this, and people who break away from sugar, which is even more addictive than heroin, can also suffer from this. But fundamentally, all habits start with the mind. They start with the mind in two ways. They start with the mind in the sense that you are convincing your mind that you need this substance, or you need to carry out this kind of behavior, because habits aren't all physical. They can be psychological, in the sense of things that you say on a regular basis, or things that you do on a regular basis, or the emotions that you display on a regular basis, or they can be physical. So I've just lost my point, completely lost my point. Now, the point I'm making is, we think that habits are these physical things, and we identify them with these physical traits, or these psychological traits, or these emotions traits that we have. But fundamentally, all habits are coming from the mind, and they come from the mind in two ways. One, we convince ourselves that that is what we need to do. I need to have a fag, I need to have a drink, I need to do this, I need to let off steam every now and then, otherwise I'll blow up. You know, we say these things to ourselves, or they are coming from the mindset in another way. And that is, you've allowed it to get down and settle down into your subconscious state, your subconscious mind. And that is when you are doing these things without even knowing that you're doing them. When you unconsciously reach out for a cigarette when you don't even feel like having a cigarette, when you unconsciously reach out for a chocolate, you don't even really want that chocolate, or you're full anyway, and yet you still reach out for that chocolate. Why? Because it's a habit that you've got into. So if you do want to break any kind of habit, one of the first things you need to do is start getting conscious in your mind. Having a conscious conversation with yourself is the first step to breaking habits. You need to acknowledge that habit. You need to acknowledge its presence there in the first place. And then ask yourself, is that habit good for me or not good for me? How is it playing out in my life? How is it affecting my life? This habit that I've got, this habit of being angry, this habit of eating this, or this habit of smoking, how is that playing out in my life? Is that a good thing for me, or is that a bad thing for me? And be honest with yourself. And when you can be honest and come up with an answer, and you realize that this is not playing out very well for you at all. For example, if it's a negative emotion that you're constantly repeating, you're in this cycle of being angry, or a cycle of being stressed, or a cycle of being depressed, and it's not playing out well in your family at all. It's affecting your relationships, it's affecting your physical health, because it can affect your physical health, it's affecting your financial wealth, it can affect all sorts of, and you know that fundamentally this habit is a root cause of it all. You know the habit's not good for you, and then you have a choice. You have a choice. And the choice is, do I continue with this habit knowing that this is the impact it's having on me? And am I prepared to just continue on that path and wear this weight of impact? Or do I want to break this habit, and do I want to do something about it? Number one thing that we need to do is acknowledge and accept the habit. And then ask ourselves, how is it playing out in my life? And then ask ourselves, am I prepared to continue the way I'm continuing, or do I need to do something about it? Nobody is ever going to break any habit in a subconscious way. It's not as if you're going to have a habit one day, or a habit of thinking this, or a habit of behaving like this, and then suddenly you're going to wake up next day and say, oh, do you know what? Subconsciously, I'm going to move away. It's got to be a conscious thing. So when we talk about habits being a habit of the mind, every single habit, I'm convinced, is a habit of the mind. We have a habit of the mind to smoke. We have a habit of the mind to drink. It is not a physical habit. That is just a symptom of the mind habit. So break your mind habits, understand your mind habits, have a conscious conversation with yourself. Don't live your life in a very unconscious kind of way. Wake up, come out of that matrix that you're stuck in now, and understand that you have every power within your grasp to actually take on your life in a very conscious way, in a very intentional way. And part of that is having a conscious conversation with yourself. Have a conscious conversation with yourself around your habit, and then take conscious action based upon the decisions and choices that you make. I hope that's been useful for you guys. We all have habits. As many habits as I've given up, and the fact that I've written this book makes me no expert on giving up habits. I have just done it my way. You can do it your way. I still have bad habits. You will still have bad habits, and that is part of being a human being. We are all perfectly imperfect and imperfectly perfect. But the more conscious we become in the way that we live our lives, the better lives that we can have, the healthier lives that we can have, the healthier relationships we can have, and the healthier sort of state that we can be in as human beings ourselves. So guys, I guess what I'm trying to say with this Facebook Live today is, if you want to break habit, you need to wake up. You need to wake up, you need to be conscious, and you need to have conscious conversations with yourself. You need to acknowledge that habit. You need to acknowledge that behavior, that repetitive behavior that you're stuck in, the behavior of thought, the behavior of action, the behavior of eating, the behavior of relationships. You need to be conscious of that behavior. You need to wake up, you need to acknowledge it, and then you need to ask yourself, is it good for me or is it bad for me? How is it playing out in my life? And then the third question you need to ask yourself is, am I prepared to continue like this, or do I want to do something about it? I hope that's been useful, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today on today's Facebook Live. Have a great evening, morning, day, wherever you are in the world, and God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's Facebook Live. Bye-bye now.